So I don't like that. You don't get that warm. You could like when you listen to a podcast like Rogan or like something big like that, you hear warm. You listen to like someone who has like a newer podcast, you get a lot of tingy, like a lot of high end, you know. So I learned that over when I used to be a recording engineer before. I did that before.
That's cool, man.
We already started, bro. Now you get to check out the fucking wall and
I know,
looking at the camera. What is
dope.
going on over there? Welcome to Cast and Crank. This wasn't my fault. This last one was not. This is a redo, and it wasn't my fault for once.
This is a redo due to I was told to say technical difficulties.
We'll say one thing my son likes to say: mangy cheese. Cheese. So yeah, it was cool. We had it got off topic. It was a really good episode, and I want to release part of what Manny said, but I'd rather have him re-say it.
Yeah.
Because he had a super good fucking story on there.
Yeah, man. He always has some really good stories.
So it was cool, but I wanted to make it more about you. I mean, it was kind of hard because when you have two guys, you start fucking around.
Yeah.
And especially if you haven't been on yet. So it's kind of cool to have you on your own. So we could talk about like, you know, what you do.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, it's just hard because Manny and I, we're pretty good friends. And it's just, I wanted to come on here and talk. But I was like, hey, Manny, come on. And, you know, you're friends with Manny. And then we all get together and it's just like a big mess. So.
Yeah, it was. It was fun.
Yeah.
That was a long, hot day for me. That was fucking a hot one. But let's say, sorry if I clear my throat. After that event, I lost my voice and everything. So.
Oh, all good.
You grew up here.
So I grew up San Bernardino. I was born in Redlands. We lived in San Bernardino, Colton area my whole life. And I moved to Arizona in like 2018 March.
Okay, so not too long ago.
No, not at all.
What were you fishing when you were younger down here?
So I never really... my dad took me a little bit when I was a kid, but we went to Silverwood. I think we threw anchovies for like striper once or twice. We fished for carp at Big Bear while we were camping, like just had some poles. In high school, I would go to Glen Helen. And what's that? There's another little park. There's like one in Fontana, right off the 10.
Basti, but no, something. The dude's like was a big help in the local lakes.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Agusti.
Yeah.
That's the one you're thinking, right?
Yeah, and you know
because that dude actually did stuff with the lakes, and they named a lake after him, right? Like
yeah. So I would fish like trout and catfish there. Okay. And I remember when I was 16, I used to just go there by myself or like a buddy from high school, and we would just like bait and wait, you know. And then I didn't get into bass fishing until 2015. My buddy had taken me to Lake Paris. He hit me up and was like, let's go fishing. And I was like, oh, dude, I love fishing. I hadn't been fishing for years, and put me on a bed fish right off the dock there at Paris. And that was it, man. That got me hooked. And
Do you still talk to him?
Yeah. He actually lives down the street from my parents still.
Oh, does he fish Paris a lot still and stuff?
Here and there, yeah. He has he lives in a community. They got like a little ranch or like one of those little ponds.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I go visit, we'll just head over to the pond and like throw Cincos.
Is it good fishing?
It's
like
actually
a ton of like 2s and 3s or something.
Yeah, it's actually very pressured for like a community pond because you need a badge to get in, but nobody checks the badge. If that makes sense. So everybody's always hopping the fence and
just fishing it.
Yeah, fishing it.
Makes
but
sense.
it's cool because we don't have to go anywhere. You know, it's down the street from my parents' house.
And you get bit.
Yeah.
So you kind of got into it a little older then as well. Like you were already in almost your 30s, right? I mean,
early or late 20s.
Late 20s.
Late 20s, yeah.
28, 27, 26.
Somewhere around there.
Okay.
I think I'm 33 now, so yeah.
So yeah, like I got into it when I was 29.
Oh, okay,
Same thing. Like, what were you doing before that? Just lifting weights,
lifting weights. Nothing really. Lifting weights, working. You know, I got into hunting a little bit through a buddy at work. And then around that time is when I got into fishing. And then, you know, around that time was, I'll have to give props where props are due. Oliver was doing his thing, and that Big Bass Dreams had coming out, and I looked, I was like, oh, that's Paris, you know? And then like, I did it backwards. I didn't learn traditional fish. I didn't learn how to drop shot and throw spinnerbait. And then I saw the whole swimbait thing, and I went.
You just let it all go and just went straight to swimbait.
I did everything backwards, right? So like I learned how to drop shot and throw spinnerbait, and then saw all those videos on Instagram. You know, the Bass Brigade, all that stuff. I think what was his name? That he had long hair. He was a Bass Brigade.
JD Blackmore?
No. Rhino.
I don't remember. See, I'm kind of.
So he was throwing rats in like Echo Park and they were posting those kind of videos, and I was like, dude, I want to do that. So I went out to Bass Pro with my spinning, I got a spinning rod and a Savage Gear line through. And so my buddy was like, you can't throw that on there. And then from there,
hey, you want to look like a real asshole, you could throw it like.
So I went down the rabbit hole and just started. I think I went to the Fred Hall show when it was the first year they released that the new 250, the new style with the injected. And I picked up one of those and a bunch of Gantarolls. Started going to Diamond Valley and Paris from the shore. And that's
so you were here living here, still started getting into like shore banging.
So I started here at Paris and Diamond Valley. And then I want to say around 2016-ish is when I found Manny Chi. And then I went to a bunch of guide trips with him.
Same thing, video on YouTube?
Yeah. Or Instagram, mostly Instagram and YouTube. Yeah. And then that's how I got it. I was like, I need to go learn to do this.
So what were you doing then? Like before you went with Manny, like how did you go about like learning? What were you throwing?
I would go to Lake Paris or Diamond Valley, and I would bring a drop shot rod, and I think it was like an Akuma Guide Select with the like 30-pound big game and a big Calcutta or what
400 or something.
Yeah, the cheap one. And
the Cardiff.
The Cardiff. Okay, there you go. The swim bait starter pack.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I would just throw that thing in the same spot over and over again in Diamond Valley. And I caught a couple good ones and stuff.
You didn't know what you were doing though,
no,
so you're just throwing over the same one.
Same thing.
So how many times? This is a cool thing that I always wonder. I'm like, what if you don't know? How long is it going to take you to get that fish? So you're just throwing, chucking, and whining. You don't know where you're fucking throwing. How long did it take you to actually catch one?
So my first swim bait fish were all like fry garters and on beds, right? And and I would take my picture and hang them up and thinking like, post them, be like, oh, swim bait fish, swim bait fish.
Were you looking for beds though?
Sometimes, yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing, and I saw all these dudes catching big fish, and then like after spawning season would end, I'd be like, dang man, like I'm not catching anything, right? So I think it was around April that I had gone with Manny, and I was like, I need to learn. And then that's when he was offering like the swim bait lessons, right?
Okay. And
I had gone with him, and it was a cool story because I dragged along my buddy who he doesn't fish. Mm-hmm. I call him my brother. We've been friends since I was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey dude, like you got to go to Arizona with me. I got to do this thing. It's swim bait fishing. I want to learn it. He's like, I'm not going there, man. Like, what are you doing in Arizona? It's like hot. And I was like, dude, like, hey, like, I'm gonna need you to go. And he's like, shit, because we have that thing. Like, if I ask you to go, you got to go. So we go out there. He didn't want to go. We're fishing all day, getting some follows here or there. It was like April. First thing in the morning, my buddy catches like a 7-pound catfish on a Gantarol. And he's like geeked. Him and Manny are like, Manny's laughing because he's like.
And your buddy, a little background, just started picking up fishing rods, like kind of
never fished
anything. Was he throwing a bait caster?
Yeah, Manny got it dialed in to where you just big basic no thumb. Yeah, he just bombed it out. And then so we were all geeked. We were fishing. I think I got bit once, nothing. We pull into this cove, and Manny's trying to teach me like this retrieve, and he gets like a really good fall, like a big one, and he's like, cast in there, dude. That one's gonna eat. So I cast over there, and my bait gets fouled, right? And I'm like, damn. He's like, no, like this. And he casts back over there. He's like, you got to work it like this. Boom, smokes at 8, right? So we take pictures. We're all happy or whatever. Yeah. So at this point, like, I'm the only one on the boat who doesn't have a fish. I came here for my birthday to learn how to throw swim baits. I was like, I want to catch a fish,
Yeah.
So it's like a movie, man. Like, the sun starts going down. He's like, all right, we're going to start wrapping up. I got one more spot. And I'm like, damn, man. Like, I'm all bummed out. But I'm like, okay, well, at least I learned. And we pull up to this point, and I cast out there, and there's like a little underwater, like you can see the rock goes under. And he's like, do that again, but like let it sink a little bit. As soon as I start doing it, boom, I smoke a 7-pounder. And it was like a fairy tale, like.
Did everything click after that though for you?
Yeah, so I went back, and it didn't click right away because I just took that retrieve because it was like a faster retrieve for like warmer water, and I was trying to do that year round. And then I didn't.
Oh, okay, so I like hearing this from people because like I'm getting more into swim bait fishing. Yeah. So like I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking for points. Okay, I'm looking for structure. You learned that one little piece and you tried to apply that
all the time.
Yeah. So you're looking for structure, trying to let it fall, maybe burn it by it or whatever it might be.
So it was a very erratic, retrieve. And then I remember I went back and I had a little John boat, and I caught like a 4 at Paris. And then the water was real low with those tires. I was just fishing it really fast around the tire reef. You know what I'm talking about?
And just burning.
I caught a 4 or whatever. And then I had got caught in a storm. It wasn't, Paris isn't very big, but like it's like a tin boat, right?
It's scary.
And water got in there. I went home and my mom was like, yeah, you're not going out in that thing anymore. Like, so I went to Bass Pro and got a tracker.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had a little bass tracker. After that is when I kind of really started.
How big was that tracker?
It was the Pro 170. I think it was the same one as Gilbert's old boat.
Okay. So it was the lower profile one.
Yeah, it was a bass one. It was a bass one.
All right.
But when I got that, then I kind of started really dialing in like my glide baits, right? And then like winter rolls around and I'm not.
And who are you fishing with at this time?
By myself. So a couple buddies here or there.
Yeah, but you didn't have like your mentor's Manny kind of?
Yeah, I would call Manny.
So, that was the guy you went, but you're applying all this by yourself, not with anybody. Like a lot of days nowadays, you're going with someone. So, like, dudes are learning from that guy or, but going out by yourself and trying to get that technique down is kind of.
Well, with social media and everything, there's always people you can like call. Like, there's a lot of local dudes that I'm friends with to this day who help me with my tournament fishing, right?
Yeah.
Like with the stuff I didn't learn back then, who would help me with swim baits and other things like that. So I would try to fish a 250. Then I had the mother and like the hinkle shad, hinkle trout. And then winter would come around and I would suck, right? And I wouldn't catch anything. So then I started watching, and the YouTube is so amazing. You can learn so much. And I started getting on that soft bait bite with the mag and like HUDs and all that.
Mine's supposed to come in tonight.
With the baitsmith?
Yeah. The one hog hunter one.
Oh, the hog hunter.
So I ordered it. I'm supposed to go Monday. I'm like, fucking please come in tonight. Because I don't know how to rig it.
Yeah,
I have my buddy Joe rig it, but I'm like, fuck, I got to make sure tackle shop's open to rig it, for
Well, you should have all the stuff, like the single strand wire.
Yeah, I just never done it. I just need to watch a video, I guess.
Tactical Bassin, man.
I heard they have the best one for the
yeah,
soft
that's how I
bit.
learned.
The soft bit?
Yeah, that and Manny, and then I put my own twist on it. They run that single strand wire to the back with like a quad hook. I give it one wrap around the jig hook just so it's another point that grabs on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. But
so when you first started throwing soft, was it all Huddlestons?
So it was the HUD, but I had a lot of success on the Batesmith Magnum. And like most of my big fish from Paris, besides I have 2 9s that I caught at Paris, like my PB, I caught on the mother, and then I caught like a 9.2 or something on a 250.
Okay.
Other than that, like all my 8s and 7s and stuff came on the Batesmith Magnum.
When you first got that, how did you know how to fish it? Just from YouTube?
Just YouTube, man.
Yeah.
And then like I would call Manny or like, Ben or a bunch of people, and the swim bait community, man, like I know it gets a bad name, but for the most part, like the majority of dudes are very helpful, right? And like they won't hesitate to like help put you on fish or like how to rig stuff and like send you pictures. And most dudes are like you and I, like they want to talk about fishing. So it's like they want to tell you like this is how I do it or whatever. And then what I do is I take what they give me, what works and what doesn't, I make my own style on it, right? Like so the tactical bassin and the rigging method and all that, I like it. So I took it and I put my own twist on it, right? So that's how I kind of started learning.
And so your first thing was like the Batesmith, and that's the thing you're throwing all the time.
So it was like anywhere from, I want to say, let's say March, April, I would be throwing a glide to about September, October is the glide, right? And
you're still talking about the conditions here.
Yeah, like
because you're still fishing here at the time.
Yeah, like at Paris. I would go Paris, Silverwood, Diamond Valley.
Okay.
And then after that, like...
Skinner, huh?
Nah, because they would quarantine you.
Because you get 8 days, huh, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is now, but it used to be when you would go in there.
Fucking 8 days. Because I have the my boat, it's saltwater, so...
Oh, yeah.
It's cool because I can go to Skinner without a tag, but then I got to go to a tag somewhere else. It's like fucking...
So my parents lived in Colton, like San Bernardino area, right off Waterman, and like what was it, 10? And I was like probably like 45-minute drive to Paris, about an hour to Silverwood.
And Skinner's an hour and 20 or something.
And then an hour and something to Diamond Valley.
Okay.
And then all those 3 lakes accepted the same tag. Yes. So I didn't care. Because like if I remember I went to Castaic once, but they have their own tag. It's like a different
Now
one.
they accept Diamond Valley.
Oh, do they?
I called like 10 times.
Yeah.
Then I got there on Thursday. And they're like, what tag is this? I'm like, I called you like a million times to say you take a diamond. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's a new.
But then the Diamond Valley tag wasn't like paper, so it would always like fall off or something.
The one since I've been going since 2015 or 16, it's been the little.
The metal one?
Oh, yeah, they did have the paper.
Yeah, it was like a paper one.
Kind of came around. The new ones are the plastic ones.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's that for me. The salt, it's like hard to do both. So it's like if I'm gonna put time into fresh, I'm in fresh right now. I can't.
Oh, you can't go to salt.
And I want to because there's
Yeah.
I want to go
Yeah,
pre-fish or do whatever. But it's like I'm trying to put the time in on the big bait.
Yeah.
But so you kept at those 3 lakes pretty much the whole time.
Paris was the main lake. That was my it was so close to my parents' house, and then the Big Bass Dreams Volume 1 was there. Then they had I remember the West Coast Big Baiters. We were watching on YouTube.
I've never seen any of that. Yeah.
So I guess it's like an older one, but it's literally like 45 minutes long. There's like 2 or 3
Who's in it?
episodes. I don't even know their names, but I remember watching them and they were just killing it at Paris.
So they're just episodes of them just.
And there was this music blasting with them catching giant fish.
What kind of music was it?
Like rock music, like
Rock
mix,
music.
yeah, rock music.
Yeah.
And they have like 4 or 5 dudes in one boat. I think in one part they had a boat.
What is it called? Now I want to see. I wish I had a fucking guy to throw this shit up. Hey,
West-
guys, put up.
Hey Jamie, look this up.
Yeah,
Oh.
I need a Jamie, dude. But that video, we'll have to look at big. What's it called?
So it's West Coast Big Baiters. It's
Okay.
it's like old, like early 2000s.
It's on YouTube though.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And that they had like a bunch of boats with a bunch of dudes in it. And then like one of the videos, like they had a boat with like 4 dudes in it with a small boat like tied off to it. And they were just like
At Paris.
just throwing swim baits and catching big ones.
You think that it changed so much, like to now, like you just can't do that? Do you know what I'm saying? I think that 2000, the pressure is not there as much. So like you can't reenact that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, I never got to and this is like the story of my life. Like I never get to experience these lakes at like their prime, right? So I watched all those videos and like even Aller's video, like the original Big Bass Streams.
It's not the same.
It was full.
Yeah.
So when I started fishing, we were in a drought,
Yeah.
right? So Paris was like the lowest it's ever been, or like 30%, 40%, and then like Arizona was popping off, right? That's when Manny took off with the big bait thing. People were catching 10s and 8s and 9s all over. And when I went, I caught a 7, and then I finished school and like life happened, so we're like, look, we gotta get out of California. So Manny's one of the reasons why we moved out there.
When you moved out there, you were with your girl at the time?
Yeah. She would go with me though on the trips.
That's crazy. So you moved with your girl, not married? Like,
Yeah, it was.
that's kind of awesome. I mean, you're engaged now. Like,
It's one of those things we talked about it. Like after graduating nursing school, we moved back home.
Did you meet her in nursing school?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it was like, do you want to get married? Or do you want to buy a house? Right? Because it takes a lot of money to do both.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's buy a house. Screw it. And we
You're
moved to
such a
Arizona.
good adult, unlike me. I over here pop fucking 3 kids out. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just have 3 fucking kids. Like, no, I mean, I'm 40. 1.
Yeah.
And it's people like I see people and go, oh, they're enjoying their like little kid, and we have a little boy too. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I missed out on the like 30s or like the late 20s where I still party, but not like,
Yeah.
hey, let's go to the bars. I was always just getting drunk at home,
Yeah.
As a kid or my wife, but I mean, you don't get a lot of responsible people nowadays that are going,
Well, man,
let's
you
not
can't-
have kids and let's fucking move and get a house.
Well, we can't afford it, man. Like,
Yeah.
we're 2 nurses and we couldn't even afford a house in California, right?
It's expensive, dude.
Yeah. So we moved to Arizona. And then when I moved to Arizona, they had golden algae 2 years in a row.
Right when you got there.
Right when I got there.
So that whole golden algae thing just kicked in and it was like over.
Yeah, a bunch of dead fish, all that kind of stuff. And then now, Paris is what, like 80% full, 90% full, like thriving, right?
Yeah, Paris has been good.
Yeah. And
I caught a 5 like a couple weeks ago, like 4 weeks ago.
yeah.
And I was stoked because I have a 7's my PB swim bait fish.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, I was stoked as fuck on a 5, like.
Dude, I came back one day and I hit up my buddy James Montes, and he fishes Paris all the time.
He's great, dude. I
Yeah,
like him.
The chef. He catered my graduation party with. He doesn't do the taco truck anymore, or the taco. He used to be a taco man.
Really?
That guy can cook.
So I've talked to him about getting him on before. He's kind of shy though, and I'm like, dude, I just even like to talk cooking because I tried to set up him and you ever heard of Roy Tubby Surfs, Traeger grill guy?
No, I haven't.
He works for Traeger, so I wanted to get both of them on to talk cooking.
That full Montes,
because
he's a good fisherman, but he's a better dude. When I had my party, my party, I overestimated how many people. Right?
Yeah.
The food was gone before everybody got there because it was that good. Like everybody just ate it. And
I heard
was
my buddy Justin. I think he did his wedding as well too.
Yeah, I think he still does it here and there, but
The shit he puts up on Instagram though is like,
yeah, he can cook.
fuck,
Man.
it makes me so hungry.
He
I'm
makes like
shit.
sometimes his own salsa too.
Well, and he's like, as a dude, I just reach out to him and go, hey, how do I make those fucking wings? And he's like, here you go. And he'll tell you. It's really fucking cool. But yeah.
But I would go out with him when I would come visit my folks, and he'd put me on
He's got
4s and 5s.
Down in Paris too, for sure.
He's been fishing that thing since like what, the 90s, early 2000s.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've ran into him once. I was with my uncle, had a champion, and we go there, and he's a cool dude. Yeah,
Super nice guy,
he's a
man.
stick. If you're going with anyone, that's the dude that's gonna know what's going on.
Yeah, he lives down the street from there.
Did you meet him after you started getting into fishing?
So funny thing is, like, when I first started fishing, I was shore banging, right? And I told you I only knew how to throw a spinnerbait and a drop shot. And I remember I was throwing off.
How were you throwing the spinnerbait though? Were you like
just over weeds? No, just regular fast retrieve or whatever. And because it's pretty dummy proof, right? You throw it, especially at Paris when the weeds grow, you can't drop shot through them. So I didn't know what to do, and I saw a dude catching on a spinnerbait. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I was there trying to burn the spinnerbait over the weeds, and I remember I seen him because he's pretty recognizable. You know, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And him and his buddy caught, I think, a 7 or 8 off the point that I was fishing, and like I just remember him. Just from that day, like I went home and I was like, yeah, I didn't catch anything, but I saw this dude. He caught
fucking dude right
seen
now.
him. And then like I got my boat and all that, and we had like ran into each other, and like when he started talking, he's a super nice guy, he's super approachable.
Yeah. No, that's fucking cool. So I mean, this was so you were throwing the big bait and then you started throwing, or before you got the big bait, you were doing spinnerbait.
Yeah.
Drop shot.
That was it. 2 rods. That's it.
Will you ever take the drop shot and the big bait?
And once I started getting into,
they'll crucify you if you do shit like that, dude.
Yeah.
That's like the unspoken word, taking a drop shot to big bait together.
Yeah. I just wanted to catch fish, man, you know, and like,
hey, I still drop shot all the fucking time. You don't give a shit.
Now, dude, that I'm more into it, it's like you know, because I'm in like both worlds, right? Like a lot of people in Arizona and here, they look at me as like, oh, you're a big bait guy. But I fish tournaments now. Can't always throw a big bait, right? And like, I tried throwing a big bait in one of my tournaments, and it didn't work out for me. And like, I'm into catching big fish. Whatever it takes to catch a big fish, like I will do. Yeah. I don't care, you know?
And I say that too about like, if I can get a dude on, I get big bait guys because it's cool to hear about big fish. Like, of course, I mean, it's cool to hear a tournament guy that can go and go, I'm going to break this down. I know what to do. I'm going to win. And they do it fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And like the first dude that I really got into the tournament thing was Phil Dutra broke it down. And I'm like, he's like talking like a life experiences, like about like percentages and all this, like knowing you're tying your line, even just like little things, thinking about it and going, man, did I do that? Even just like myself doing little fucking dumb things, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But I mean, it's the big thing. Like if a guy came to me, he's like, oh, he caught an 18 on a jig, I'd be like, I'd love to have him on and talk about that. That's
it's just, you can't discount like people. Okay, if I catch a big fish on a jig on accident, okay, it's luck or whatever. But if you do it consistently, like, what's the problem? Like, you can't discount this guy if he's catching big fish on a jig.
But so far, I guess
because it's not a swim bait, right?
Like, so far, you don't get those. I mean, I guess no one's really posting 15s or 14s all the time with jigs.
Yeah,
maybe not
true.
Here. Maybe back east, you see in Texas, you'll see guys catch big fuckers on the jig.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
the A-rig and
Grady
stuff.
caught it. His 15 or 14 on a. Was it his frog or something? His big fish.
No, I think it was like a 12. I think it was flipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. I mean,
it's a big fish technique, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So
are you going to discount it because he wasn't flipping a HUD in there? You know, like no, it's a 12 pounder. You can't take that away from him, you know?
So when you came back and you were fishing the big baits, so before you move, Batesmith, kind of locked that down a little bit.
So I got into, I went through all the stages of this fishing thing, right? Like I started becoming like how you see it now on like all these forums, like the hype piece, right? Like I got to get this bait and that bait.
This is another question. What rod and reel were you buying at the time? So you were fishing like Select, Akuma Select or whatever.
So Akuma Guide Select, which I actually believe is a great starter rod for
I do
swim
too.
baiters.
I had one.
Those are great, right?
Yeah. And
And then I had the Cardiff. And then I went out with Manny and I started throwing Lowdown Customs. And I was like, okay. So I came back and I bought extra heavy and a double X Lowdown Customs.
How did you do that? How do you get a hold of one of those?
Dude, it's very hard. But
I've been trying.
I got some connections. Maybe I'll plug you in. I don't know.
No, but I mean, it's another thing that I always like to talk about is going like straight to the what you need. So like over a fishing career, I've like upgraded rods multiple times.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I wish I would have just went straight to like I have a custom performance. I love it. Throw the 250 on it. I wish I would have got that fucking, like for 3 years ago. You know, like,
it's just hard because like if you it just depends on the angler, right? Like I know a bunch of like Josh Bertrand lives by me. He fishes Abu Garcias, right? And those are what, $70-$80 at Bass Pro or whatever. And
Veritas,
he
bro. I love
probably
the
gets paid
Veritas.
by him, but he fishes them and he likes them, right? So like to you, maybe it's a cheap rod or whatever, but to
it's
this
hard,
guy,
it's hard to have a rod that's fishing like, but it's for big baits.
yeah.
Because you can't just pick up like any rod and throw a big bait on it. Like there is
No, I get what you're
do you
saying.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
if we were gonna, like if I was like, hey, I'm gonna go into tournament fishing and I had a certain amount to spend, I would go buy Abu Garcias because they're decent rods, or get the Phoenix, the Feather Series. That's like $100 or whatever it is.
But some people like that stuff,
Yeah.
right? So it's like if it performs well, like it doesn't matter if it's $100 or $500,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
a lot of people, like I like the Lowdown custom rods. They just fit me. I like, the way, I forget what they call it, where the guides they're spiral wrapped,
yeah.
right? Like I
Yes.
like that. A lot of people guys hate that.
Why?
I don't. They just say they don't like the way it feels. I think if you set the hook one way or the other, it feels weird. But to me, I don't know the difference.
Yeah, I feel
Right.
like it's like I have mine like that. I loved it. I had one done by my friend Shannon,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, this is my new favorite rod, my TK rod.
See, some people like it like if you're right-handed, or so I'm left-handed, they want it spiraled a certain way so when you set
it bends with this.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
weird,
yeah.
but I don't know how mine are wrapped, but I like it. That's
Yeah.
it, right? Like they're like $300 a pop. They're hard to get, but I swear
Did
by
you get
them.
the white labels?
Yeah, the white
Yeah,
labels.
that's what I'm trying to get too.
Yeah. I didn't want to spend the money on the custom. Plus it's he has a bunch of orders, so it takes a while. So I just wanted something like he drops it. Okay, cool. I get
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
2 days he ships it to you and you got it. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
those are great rods too. I mean, I have a couple of buddies that fish a lot of them.
Yeah. But so I came back and I bought those. And then I actually got a couple Conquests, which I
Okay.
still have to this day.
It's
Yeah.
pretty penny.
Dude, if you get them on Digitaka, you get them like $400 instead of $600.
What do we do?
Digitaka, that
Where's
Japan.
that? They have them on there.
Oh, I mean, actually, it's like a secret plug,
Is it? Oh God.
He
You
has
get
them here or there, but you can
Yeah.
buy them on eBay too, from Japan, straight from Japan, and they're
Yeah.
like $200 cheaper.
Oh really? Fuck.
Yeah. So I get
Yeah.
paid $400 for my first 2 of them,
Okay.
and then like I started getting
Did that now when you got and upgraded this gear? Could you tell a huge difference? Like, oh, I'm able to fill bites more. I'm able to catch more.
So
fish.
I can say all this, yes, for sure, because Shimano to Shimano, right? Like Cardiff to Conquest,
Yes.
that's a huge difference.
Yes.
And for sure, yeah, like 100% that reel. Like the Cardiff, I remember catching a fish, and I think it was like a 5 or a 6, and my drag it wasn't pulling in, and it was locked down, right? And it's like, supposedly, what does it have? Like 13 pounds of drag or something like that, the Cardiff?
No. Yeah.
And what's his name? Bailey up north, he swears by him, right? The Cardiffs?
Maybe they've changed the fucking drag in them.
Yeah, I don't know. But like the Conquest, I've never had that issue, right? Like,
Drag never slip.
and I have the Conquest, the 5-to-1 or whatever,
Okay.
right? So they don't even make those anymore. They're like 6 or something like that.
What are you using that for? Your bait smith rod or your?
So I'll use that for like slower, like a crank, like waking baits, crank downs.
Like the D3.
Yeah, D3.
Shameless plugs.
Or like soft baits, yeah.
Okay.
And then like I'll use a 6-to-1 for a glide or something.
Okay. But so then you got those 2 rods. It changed the game a little bit for you, right?
But I fell into the trap of like buying every swim bait like that would pop up, right? And I fell into like I had like 5 like, oh, here's the Japan trout. Oh, here's the Butch Brown Seiko trout. I gotta get the flash card, right? Like, did I need 4 or 5 250s? No, but like I wanted them. Then I got like the Gantarelle because I had like caught a 4 or 5. I got every color, right? The ghost gill and whatever. And then like I remember I bought a bunch of I don't know, I think I had like a couple Hinkle shads because I was like at that point like he did a couple releases and they're $180. You had to get on the list, and then like I had a couple Hinkle trout. Yeah,
hundreds
you know?
now, dude. Thousands.
So I bought all those. Then I would get the one-offs, like any random glides that would come out, and I was like, oh, I gotta get that one, gotta get that one. And then I found like personally like my swim bait selection, I still have a decent amount, but I sold a bunch of them, and I just stick to ones that I know are tried and true, right? Like so.
So do you feel like you played on color a little bit more at the time, and you're kind of like eye catching,
Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
where like you only need like maybe 1 250 that's tuned that sinks and one that's.
But see, I wasn't thinking like that. I was so new into it. Like I was thinking like, okay, the flash carp's not gonna get bit. Let me throw on the IU. Like it was gonna make a difference, right? And I didn't know any better. But like I fell into that trap, and now I kind of like I think I have like 2 250s right now. I've got 2 175s.
You fish the 175 a lot too as well?
I do now that I fish tournaments.
Okay, it's a different tool.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So that 175, the new model, so they have the OG, which is the foam filled.
Yes.
Then they have the injected, but it doesn't have the fins on the bottom. They just released a 2021 model. It has fins on it. I did a video on my YouTube.
Yeah.
It swims like a little mini 250. It doesn't roll over like the old 175. And that 175 caught my kicker fish into my first tournament. We got 8th. I think it was like a 4.8 or something.
Nice, yeah.
I swear by it.
I mean, but that's a good point of view.
Shout out Optimum Baits.
Hey, yeah, Payno's a great fucking dude. Love him. He's the only guy to laugh at my fucking joke. So I bombed at the fucking toy drive.
I forget, going back, when I bought my first 250, the injected, I think his name is Ian, if he works at Optimum Baits. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I don't know.
I don't know him. I just remember him because of this story. I said, hey, I went there straight for the 250. I said, hey, I want to buy one. He said, well, we can't. You have to wait till Butch is done with his seminar, and then he's going to come let him out. And I was like, dude, like I drove all the way from San Bernardino just to buy this. Like, please. And he, it's all saltwater.
Was that
Fred Hall.
Fred Hall, okay.
And he was like, look, man, he's up there now. Come back like 5 minutes before, and I'll make sure you can get one. I still have I lost that one, but like he's the reason I got into like the 250s. Like I had the new one. I was like showing off to my friends. Shout out that guy. I don't know if he still works for Optimum.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's a cool story for sure.
Yeah, he held it for me. It was like my first. Like I remember I was telling everybody that story. Like yeah, this guy held it for me. I got it before anyone else got it, and like because it was the first day at Fred Hall.
Which is a big deal. Like even like when I went there, and I had like a half a booth of performance.
Yeah.
I remember just even walking up to Butch, and it was so crazy. Like how many people were like gathered around him, Dude,
he sat there and just talked to me for like 10-15 minutes. No, like I saw him on YouTube, and I was like, hey man, like I don't know anything about it, and he was like just breaking it down.
Such a nice fucking
it's like going to Kobe or like Jordan and being like, hey, how do you shoot a free throw?
That's what I say. I'm like, it's like not only that, like, and I thank him for bringing all these toys. The fucking dude showed up with 7 bikes to the toy drive. I'm like, this shows you this is a way to fucking act.
Yeah.
As the way, if you want to put out something good, that's how you fucking act. Like a goat. Greatest of all time. That's how you act like a fucking goat. You bring 7 fucking bikes, always fucking nice. You can
send him your baits and he'll tune them for you.
Yeah.
Like who does that,
Yeah, I know. And it's crazy. Like I was like, I'm taken back every time he goes, oh, I'd love to come back on the podcast. I'm like, really? Like, I'm like, you don't have to, dude. Like, so, we lay out the carpet. Maybe you'll get one of those one day.
All right.
But I mean, the glide thing, that's a good point. I like how you said you kind of step back and just learn those baits a little more.
Yeah.
So now, did you get flustered when you were buying all those baits? So were you like, you got into it, started buying them all. Were you throwing too many baits at that time?
I think so. I was so young and like misdirected that like I thought everything I was doing was right, and then like it's just trial and error. But like, thank God for the internet. It sped up my learning curve, right? I would just call people. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, stop buying all these baits.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gilbert talks about like stick to. He had that article, the quest for the cure, right?
I'm not sure. I watched a couple of them.
Yeah, he had something come out was like where it's like we're always buying baits, thinking like it's the next thing, and like I kind of like where it's like you stick to a couple baits that like are proven, and you learn the ins and outs of that, and then maybe once you learn like the basics, you can branch out and try different ones or whatever. Which
I think that's something that everyone could learn from. And there's people that probably I do it. I grab too many fucking baits. I'll be like, okay, let me throw this for a little bit. Okay, it's not working. I bet you if I throw this, it'll no.
Yeah.
Fucking dick it. Try different cadence or something.
And like that's why I now like my main. I'll throw. Especially in Arizona, like in tournament fishing, I won't throw such big baits, but I'll throw like a HUD 68. Just got my hands on the Battle Shad, the 6.0, the smaller one.
No way.
With the head harness. Yeah, I got 2 of them. And then I throw the 175. Did
you order them and off the drop?
So I was actually fishing the day it came out, and I told my buddy, hey, pick me up a couple, and I was on the water. I didn't have no service, and he texted me, and he was like, hey, man, I couldn't get any. And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. So I was talking to another friend. He was like, yeah, I'll send you one, whatever. But then met my buddy up this week for Christmas, and he was like, hey, man, I need to meet you up for your present. It's perishable, so I need to give it to you today. And I was like, all right, cool, man, whatever. We met up. There's 2 battle shads in there. He was like, I tricked you. Yeah. I was stoked, dude. Like, yeah. I was like, dude, so first of all, you didn't give me battle shads.
Yeah.
And you're getting me food for Christmas? Like, come on, man. And you showed it with 2 battle shads.
Yeah, you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. I was stoked, man.
Have you fished the battle shot a lot?
I fished a Citizen.
Citizen?
Yeah.
I rolled up on 4 of them.
The
Citizens.
6-inch?
I think so. I had 2 blacks, 2 of the gray.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think, I got them for like, brand new, like $20 a pop. I'm like,
that's not bad.
Yeah, I'm like,
see,
I
I'm
don't
trying
have
to
wait for 'em,
I'm trying to find like there's a fine line between a big bait and a tournament, you know, like so for traditional.
Let's go back because I want to get into the tournament thing.
Okay.
So let's kind of keep going on the big bait thing, and then we'll get to where you transfer over to like learning, the tournament style.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you kind of started buying up all the baits.
All the big baits. Then I remember I got into I had caught my PB on the mother. Manny was like telling in my ear about the damn mother.
How much was that motherfucker? 500.
So
at the time,
the first one I got the Chi discount. He hooked me up. I forget who had them, and they ended up giving me like a 20% discount.
Oh hell yeah!
And then I bought a second one as a backup because I took it out and I caught like a 25-inch bass. I weighed 4 pounds, but it was like one of the biggest bass I've ever seen. It was skinny, right?
Long. Huh?
It was long.
Yeah.
I think it was dying.
Yeah.
And then I took my dad out, and because he was always like, he doesn't really fish, but he was like, what is these things? I'm like, I'm gonna show you what these are, right? Like, and I had some follows or whatever, and then I ended up catching that summer. I caught my PB on the mother, and it was like a 9.5. And then I was like, okay, I need a backup. Like, this is the end all be all, right? You know?
Yeah.
And then I got into the whole that the summer kind of kept going, and I got into they released a Hinkle Shads that run, and I got a couple of those. And I was doing pretty good on that out in the summer, and then caught like another 9 on the 250. So I was just continuing this big bait. Like, that's all I would do was go out and throw
you're
big
still
baits.
living in California.
Yeah, I still lived in California at the time, at my parents' house. So it was like.
So did you take the big bait thing with you to Arizona? Were you only throwing big baits when you went there too?
Yeah. So
okay.
I continued to just throw big baits for the last. I think I caught my first Cinco fish in 2020.
Are you
like
fucking
September.
serious?
Yeah. I had gone out. I met my fishing partner now through social media, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go throw big baits?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we went out, and I was like, "Dude, I want to catch some fish. Like, I've been skunking. Like, it's tough, whatever." And like, I had caught a couple fish at like Canyon at night. I caught a slammer, but nothing over, I think 5 or nothing over 4. And I was struggling, right? Because the whole big bait thing exploded in Arizona. Like,
but when you got there, was the golden algae already there?
so it was there, and then I think it hit Canyon again, like 2 years in a row, right? And then Apache got it to where I think they had like an 80% kill off.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And Apache's a good lake.
Yeah, so I guess they have. I don't know, because when I was there, it was dead, right? And like,
Yeah.
I've gone there once with Manny on a guide trip, but other than that, like, I've never seen it healthy. Even when I got to Saguaro and Canyon, they had golden algae already.
Yeah.
So it was like such a struggle. And then you have like, there's a big swim bait population in Arizona. A lot of guys are quiet about it, but like, I remember rolling up there this last winter, having to wait for a point because dudes were hucking glide baits and HUDs and all that stuff on like. I'm like, dude, I thought this was Arizona. What is? Am I back in California now?
Right.
Like, yeah. So then I was just fishing big baits this whole thing, and I met my fishing partner, and I kind of transitioned into. He got me throwing into like Cincos, jigs, and we started catching big fish. I have a video out. We were catching a bunch of fish on jigs out at Saguaro, like 6s, 7s here or there.
So now here's the question: is
Yeah.
you transferred from big baits to pretty much learning conventional because you knew how to drop shot and spinnerbait, but you don't know like spy baits. Like you don't know how to fucking throw those. You don't know how to throw like, okay, you know how to throw a spinnerbait, but some people say, well, you got to drag them on the floor and drag them. I don't throw them. I don't know how to fucking do it like that. Like, so how was it transferring from big baits to that? And do you think the conventional would have helped you in your big bait game?
So I absolutely 100%, like I said, I did everything backwards, right? But a lot of it transferred over, like a jig. You drag it like a HUD, right?
Okay,
like, so if I did it the other way, you can relate like, oh, dragging a HUD, like slow rolling a HUD, or slow dragging a jig, slow roll a HUD, right? Like a spinnerbait, like swim it next to structure, right? If you're doing a straight retrieve or something, it does relate. But there are a lot of techniques that like I still struggled to learn or am struggling to learn. Like, I started catching crankbait fish my first tournament, which is like
crankbait fishing,
dude, until you start catching. I caught a 3 and a 2.5 during a tournament. Those are keepers, right? Like,
yeah.
And like then like we went to another tournament in Flippin, which is like one of my new favorite techniques. I've never flipped before, right?
Yeah.
I used to just throw a glide bait alongside that bush,
Yeah,
right? Instead of you flip into the bush, right? And that's like one of my favorite things to do now. But like that was kind of hard to learn. I never flipped anything, you know?
You just do it at home now? Or
No,
were you
no.
practicing?
I just go to the lake and do it. Like I'll spend that's the thing is like I'll go to the lake and if like I want to learn to flip, I'll spend the whole day flipping. And that's all I'll do.
I did that. I remember when I first started fishing it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I would put my middle son to sleep and then put buckets in the front and just grab a beer. You know, just pitching the whole time. And like, what are you fucking doing, dude? And I'm like, just practicing, dude. Yeah. But it's fun. Like,
it's a big fish technique, right?
Yeah.
You know? So like we caught 2 6s back to back and pre-fish for my last tournament flipping. And it's just like, dude,
your big bait friends probably laugh at you and you go, get the fuck out of here with this 6, dude.
So in California, maybe in Arizona, dude, like
that's a big fish.
Yeah. It's a decent fish, you know, like, I mean, unless like I'm not seeing, but like most people, when they catch decent fish, they post them up, right? Like you got a few people in Arizona that they're very hush hush about it, right? And like, so you don't see the big fish they catch, but like swimbait fishing in Arizona is pretty tough right now. So like, look at the King, man. He's going to Texas and doing all this traveling, right?
Because it's hard.
It's tough, yeah.
It's fucking tough here, dude. But I mean, there's the guys that, I guess for the noobs, for me, it's a little tougher. But I mean, it's pressure. How about that?
Yeah.
I remember seeing these lakes, you know, I used to go just get the rental boats and drop shot, and it was easier to catch fish, a little easier at DVL or at Paris, you know. Paris has been pretty good actually, but
they're like completely different fisheries, right? Like
yeah,
you got like at Paris, you got a lot of pressure. The fish are there, and there's giants there, right? No doubt about it. But like you got like when I go with my buddy James, you have to wait in line for certain spots. You tell somebody in Arizona that you got to wait in line for like a point, they're gonna be like, dude, what are you talking? Like, what do you mean wait in line?
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah, it's a shitload of pressure.
Or like, you can't be on the water before sunrise. Like what? Like,
so you can go whenever you want at
Arizona's 24/7.
That's crazy.
I think Lake Pleasant, since it's owned by Maricopa County, you can't.
Okay.
But like all like Saguaro Canyon, dude, people will camp there and sleep on their boats for like a week or a couple days.
How good's a night bite? Is it better or is it not really what you would think it would be?
I haven't really messed around too much at night because a lot of the lakes are like rock and like canyon, and I get scared of like hitting my bow and stuff. And I'm a very like a lot of the reason I like to fish is like the visual aspect, right? Like seeing the follow, like oh, and making them eat, you know, or the blow up, or I caught a pretty big slammer fish at canyon at night, and it was cool, but like you just hear it, right? You don't see it, right? Like I like seeing it.
That's funny because today I was talking to my SPS partner, my saltwater bass series partner. He goes, "Why are you fucking fresh?" He just got into fishing last year. Why are you freshwater fishing? I'm like, it's different. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I feel like you get to see more. Like, you know, when you can see it all happen. Where in the salt, you're looking at the boat, you know, calico. I'm making sure shit's not moving, or we're not going to, you know, get close to the shore. Where I can focus a little more on the fish and freshwater.
Where do you go out here?
Salt, freshwater?
No, freshwater, yeah.
Oh, I'll hit Paris, DVL, Castaic. I like Skinner a lot, and then I like...
That's our far drives from you, aren't they?
About an hour. Anywhere, this is the cool thing. I'm about an hour to an hour and a half anywhere I go.
Oh, that's not bad then.
So like Silverwood, probably the closest. And I like Silverwood.
Really, the closest?
Yeah. For me, I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it's an easier drive. Mm-hmm. I fucking hate Skinner. DVL's a little closer.
Yeah.
Paris isn't bad. But Silverwood's probably the closest, and then Pudding Stone. But that's
Silverwood is that's where I've seen the biggest fish in my life.
Really?
Yeah. It was on the dam. I was following my mother. It was, you know, it's hard to judge, and like everybody says, yeah, I was every bit of 18, 20. You know, like, dude, really, was it though? You know, like was it? You know, like or like, oh yeah, I caught like a 7, and it's like you weigh it, it's like a 5. Like was it? You know, like
I learned that really. People learned that. What is that? I'm like, I usually bring it down a couple pounds, and it's probably that.
Until you take it out of the water, then you can get a good... I know buddies, like I'll bring it out and they'll be like, oh, that's like a 4 or 5. And you get like, oh yeah, you're right. But like in the water, it's kind of hard to judge, right? But I thought it was a carp, and it was giant. It was the biggest bass. And I know it was a bass because it was wintertime. It followed my mother. And then this is one of my theories is when you get a large follower, like a 8 to let's say 12-pound class fish, a lot of the times they don't just dart off, right? Like if you get a follower like a smaller fish and they see the boat, they'll come and then and they dart, right? A lot of the big ones, they'll come up, they're not going to eat it, and they just kind of do that where they slowly drift out of sight, right?
Try the-
Yeah, that's what that comes
you
into
trying
play.
that?
But no, I never tried it.
No, okay.
But it was just sitting there. And I was like, holy crap, like that's a bass. And I almost had time to take my phone out, but then it just went away. Yeah.
But you think that's the biggest fish you've seen?
That's the biggest largemouth bass I've seen.
Really?
In person, like follow or anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's big fish. And like, look at Carnell, man. He's caught some good ones there recently.
A lot of people don't like that lake because it's so out of the way, you know?
Well, they just changed the road. So the road's not like...
Oh, really?
So it's like a straight shot now.
Through where, though?
So you don't... I don't know. I don't remember. Remember, you'd have to like wind in.
I used to get off where that McDonald's is.
Yeah.
And then you wind all the way up.
It doesn't wind like that anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
They
man,
fixed
that's cool.
the road. It's like pretty quick.
Oh,
Because
that's cool,
it used
man.
to be, but... I mean, for me complaining, I fucking hate driving to Skinner off the fucking road for a half hour.
Yeah.
You know, off the fucking freeway. Really? No. You know, so that's why I'd rather go to like Paris or even Castex, kind of right off the freeway. I mean, it's far too.
Yeah, that's far.
You know, our Pyramid is one I want to go to. That's a little farther. I mean,
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to get into it, do it more. Castex seems to be biting, so I'm gonna try to go there. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for a striper artle. I don't give a shit. You know, I just want a big fish. You know, like something cool to pull on. But so when you started getting into all these techniques again,
Yeah.
you met your buddy 2020.
2020, yeah.
2020. It's so weird to say that. 2020.
It's only 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago.
I know, but just weird to say. Like I remember it being 2014 or 12 or.
I know.
I remember 99 in fucking high school, bro. You know, so it's like, or fuck, not even that 98. So it's like. My kid's 17, and I'm like, fuck, that was 97 for me, dude.
Jeez, man.
And I don't feel like I should have a kid that's 17. Like I feel
Time
like
flies, man.
I feel like an idiot, dumb, young, stupid ass still. You know, but, so 2020, you kind of started conventional fishing.
Well, the funny thing is, he hit me up and he wanted to learn to swim bait fish a little better, right? He had gone to Canyon, caught some 4s and 5s, and I was like, yeah, dude, let's go throw big baits, whatever. And so we start going, and he starts. I think we're throwing big baits and stuff, but he brings like some traditional stuff, and like I'm up there throwing a big bait or whatever, and he's like, oh, he throws a sink or whatever, and catches a fish. I'm like, hey man, like after throwing this big bait, like I kind of want to catch a fish. Like I don't care what it is, you know. He's like, yeah, do this, and this, and I was like, all right, and dude, I started. Did you go the opposite way again, like where you're like, okay, I bought all my rods or all the baits. Now you went, whoop. Went and buy fucking 100 crankbaits, 100, you know what I'm saying? Dudes, yeah. So I've got a Lowdown Customs medium heavy. I've got a extra heavy and a double X. And then I have a Gancraft Dead Sword Magnum rod.
Okay.
And then I think I had 2 or 3 traditional rods. That was it. And they were just like Bass Pro specials, right? Like just cheap
so
ones.
now what are you using for your traditionals?
So my traditional stuff is Savage Gear. Okay. I've got the squad rods.
Okay.
I got the whole line of that. And then
when did they come out with those?
You know, I'm not 100% sure.
It's been pretty recent,
but
right?
they're super affordable, man. They're like $100 a pop,
and they're coming off the reel, right?
I don't know about the reel.
I saw a picture on Instagram.
Yeah.
It said Savage Gear reel.
But I like them. They have the camo, you know.
Yeah, it's cool.
They're. I needed to get. I'm kind of weird where I like everything to match, right? So I got like every rod they had, and just threw reels on there. Like,
do your reels need to match?
Yeah,
me too. But it's hard because it's like. You want that one, but it's not black; it's blue and black.
Yeah,
and I like the same thing.
See, I messed up because I in the swim bait world, it's like, oh, you got to have the DC and the Conquest, all the nice stuff, right? And I fell into that, so I have them, right?
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, I got a jig rod now. I'm gonna throw a Corrado DC on there, right? And I'm like, okay, well now I need a crankbait rod. Well, I need another Corrado DC.
Dude.
Now I'm like. Traditional fishing, you need like 8 rods, 10 rods, 12 rods. It's like I can't afford 12 Corrado DCs, you know.
So what are you using instead?
I've got like 4 Corrado DCs, and I got just the 200 Corrados.
So you use Corrados, Shimano stuff on everything.
I've tried other reels and stuff, but and everybody will argue what's the best reel or whatever. For me personally, I've had the best luck with Shimano, right? Like those Conquests, dude, they're from 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Never had a problem with them at all. I've broken other brands. I've tried them all, man, and just the Shimanos haven't given me problems.
I don't like the Tranx 200. I had that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was no drag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all Daiwa. I love the Tatula. Like that's like
dude, the Tatulas are great.
But I'm gonna say one reel I do like for when I was surf fishing a lot.
Uh-huh.
I had a Lose a 200.
Yeah.
and I beat the shit out of this thing in the salt, and it worked great. So the lures, I did like the one I had.
Yeah.
And it was a nice reel. I don't know how they hold up, other than that. To me, it held up great.
Yeah. But I mean, every brand has their high end, low end stuff. Like I've had Tatulas that I had one for like 5 years, man. Never had a problem until I broke something.
Isn't that weird that they're hit and miss? Like you feel like I'm going to buy 4 of those reels. 1 or 2 of them might just shit out pretty quick. And then one.
And it's all, for me, it's always the one that is used the least, right? The one that you use all the time, it always holds up. You're like, man, this went through hell and back. And then like one day you're throwing something off and you're like, oh, it broke. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I mean, and having to buy think of me. I wanted conventional fish.
Yeah.
So I need a set for that. I don't want to use my spotty stuff, that saltwater stuff, for the freshwater stuff. So you need both
2 sets.
Okay. And then I fish calicos. So fishing calicos is like fishing light swim bait stuff. So I'm using Ultra Swim Bait Classic rods that are 2 to 8 ounces that have a whole nother set for that. Oh. Then I got my big bait stuff. So then I have to have a set for that.
It's always something, man.
So it's like, fuck, dude. My wife's going, man, how do you keep buying fishing rods? I'm like, because I need a different one for different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even have any conventional shit. I have like a crankbait rod that I can use in either salt or fresh, but it's like.
It's always something, man. Yeah. It's always something.
Yeah. But it's like, dude, it's the truth. You got to have a rod for each thing. You might want to have 3 drop shot rods. I don't fucking know.
Dude, a lot of them do, man.
Because I hear the tournament guys go, if it's biting, I'll have like 3 or 4. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, if I break one off, I fucking just grab another.
Because if they tie leaders and stuff,
I'll just do another one, just throw it to the side. I'm like, shit. So you start getting into all that now. So how many rods do you take with you when you tournament fish?
It just depends on like how my pre-fishing goes and everything, I'll especially like I have an 18-foot or it's a 19-foot boat, 19 foot.
You just got that too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Triton 18.
What did you have
TRX.
before that?
So my very first boat was a little John boat. Mm-hmm. Then I got a 2016 Bass Tracker, Pro 170. And then I went over to Anglers Marine and bought a Triton 179 TRX, 17 foot. I think it's 18.4, 18.6, something like that. Mm-hmm. But it had like a 115 on it. And then this last year, I just picked up in September Triton 18 TRX.
Size engine?
200.
You're fucking jammy now, huh?
Dude, I'm having problems with it, man.
What?
Yeah.
Mercury?
Yeah. I think it's I have the wrong prop on there, so I got to play with the props. But like I'm only turning 5,200 RPMs, and my max is like 60 miles an hour. Okay. And that boat like is supposed to be going 70. So
I had the issues with I had injectors go out 3 times in mine.
Really?
So I ended up getting, because I got them all serviced and they all went out. Like it kept going out, but the first 3 years it's under warranty.
Yeah.
So they changed it for free, and after that I'm like, fuck, man.
Well, I've had Mercury. I've only had Mercuries. I've never had a problem. And this one doesn't have a problem. It's just I'm not getting the RPM. And like I didn't know. Now that I'm into all this stuff and learning about it, like, yeah, like I'm supposed to be going.
What was your other boat going? How fast were you going?
Like 40.
Really?
It was a 115.
What's a huge jump though, huh?
Dude, I had to learn how to use a hydraulic jack plate, all that kind of stuff, man.
Ooh, tilting, fucking everything.
Yeah. But I talked to the guys at Anglers Marine. They're going to do a prop switch for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And see if I need to go down a prop size or whatever.
To find the right.
Yeah.
Are you not getting on plane as easy too? Or are you do?
No, that's the thing with this 200. There is no getting on plane. You hit the gas, you're on plane. Dude. And that's why they think it's too much bite. So
okay.
Right? So I don't have getting on plane. It gets on plane now.
So it's too much. You're jumping up.
So I have great hole shot, but my top end is suffering, right? Yeah. So I think I need to go down to where I can get on plane a little bit longer and then get to higher end top.
Okay.
Top speed.
So then did you buy the boat in Arizona when you bought the previous boat? Were you in Arizona or were you here?
My first boat, no, I was still at my parents' house.
So the tracker, you were at your parents, and then the next one were you still at your parents?
Yeah.
That was Anglers Marine.
Anglers Marine, yeah.
What made you want to go get that boat?
Dude, honestly, I was fishing Paris and I got caught in another storm, another windy day, and like I was like, dude, I'm so tired of getting blown around, right? And like I remember the water was low and the water started going back up, and a lot of these trees were in the water, right? And I wanted to fish them, but like I was getting blown so fast by the wind, like into the trees, even with like my trolling motor or like going against the wind, and then when I would drive, like if a wave would hit you sideways, you'd get wet, and like the tracker's great, but it's just I got blown around.
It's a great starter boat.
Yeah,
like a great,
And like it's great, dude. I think it's perfect for Paris, but then like take that to Diamond Valley and it's like another story. Take it to Silverwood when it gets windy, it's another story. You know? Like they're not very big bodies of water, but they get gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I went and got the Triton 179.
Was there a reason you got that 179? Were you looking at other boats or just
a lot of this stuff, man? Like I don't have any experience in, and I go and like.
So are you taking someone else's advice?
Yeah.
Who gave you the advice to get the boat?
So this one was, he still works there. He sold me my new boat, Mark Hammond, I think his name is. Super nice guy, man. And he's very like helpful. And I was going there and I was like, I want to buy a Ranger because that's all I heard, right?
That's the one.
The full Monte is a Ranger gang, right? Ranger gang and all that stuff, right? Like that's all you hear. And I didn't know any better. Like I wasn't even a tracker, right? And then what does everybody, when you're getting on Paris, somebody comes with a 21-foot Ranger. Like, oh, that's a nice boat, right? And everybody talks about Ranger this, Ranger that. So I was like, I want a Ranger. And he was like, yeah, man, Rangers are great boats. And I was like, well, how much is that one? He's like, well, we have this 179. Same exact thing, same motor and everything. Actually comes with a 115, not a 90. And it's 10 grand less. And I was like, done. And it's like a foot longer. Yeah. And because I think I was looking at I was looking at Nitro Z17, the Ranger, whatever, 17 foot they have. Yeah. And then the Triton 179 is actually an 18.6, I think, or 18.5 or something. Okay. And he was like, this is a bigger boat with a bigger motor for 10,000 less.
Why so?
Just, I don't know, man.
That's
it was
weird.
Just, yeah. Ranger's name.
Because you were in the previous boat was a 17 as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the layout was probably like way different, right? Or is it a pretty good layout?
What, my Triton?
Your tracker.
It was just 2 rod lockers and a little middle one. Yeah.
That's it.
This is a Pro 170, so I think it's exactly at 17 foot, right?
But this was so much bigger in the
and it's fiberglass. It's wider. It's so... I wouldn't say it's a big boy boat.
And were you fishing tournaments with then?
No.
You were fishing just big baits then?
Swim baits only, yeah.
So you still bought the boat. It was just a swim bait only boat. Like
I just wanted to, and that's why I went with just a fiberglass. I was tired of getting blown around. Yeah. I was tired of getting chased off of Diamond Valley, right? Like I was tired of getting chased off of Paris when it got windy. Mm-hmm. And I noticed like I was getting bit when it was windy. So I wanted to just navigate easier. So I got the Triton 179.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then you move, you take the boat with you to...
So I move and I take the boat with me to Arizona. Start fishing with my buddy, and we actually fished one tournament.
So he talked you into doing tournaments.
Yeah, so I didn't. And the thing is, I always used to talk crap. Like I don't like fishing's my release. Like I don't want to go stress out about fishing, right? Until I got a little taste of that tournament fishing, I was like, hey, it's actually pretty fun, And then
so you win or you get place good. You're like, yeah, I like this.
So the first tournament I did, it was kind of weird because it was like a series where anyone can fish. And I remember I was getting ready. We're fishing Alamo and. I'm tying up a topwater, I think like a Rio Rico, and I have the combat stick, Evergreen. It's a Brett Hyatt signature series rod, and I'm tying up in my boat, and I see him walk by. I'm like, oh shoot, like this is him, and then like he fished a tournament, right? Like, and I'm like, okay, like so it's kind of weird, but then we were like boat 14, and I remember trying to fly across the lake, and everybody was just zooming past me, and I don't have enough skill to like. Sacrifice my spots and stuff, that's why I ended up going getting the new boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that first tournament kind of kicked it all off. You're kind of like, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, it was fun, and then I started doing the video things,
Did you sign up for a club then, or just doing tournament?
No, I fished the JML series.
Okay.
And it's called the Weekend Warrior Bass Series, and we picked that one because it's one of the most popular in Arizona. Yeah. But it's there's no pros, no guides allowed, right? Oh, and you can't make the majority of your money fishing. So there's like some rules to it where like they have the Fishing 48, which pays really well and all that, but you can be fishing against pros, man.
How many dudes do you usually fish against in these tournaments?
Anywhere from 80 to 100 boats.
Fuck, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So last tournament was 85. First tournament I fished this season was, I think, 110 boats. Yeah.
What was the payout?
They pay like they would pay 1 in 20 something, so I think they pay like 80-90% back.
No way. That's
so it's
great.
like if you get first or whatever, it's probably like $4,000.
Fuck. And what's your best place so far?
8th.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you're like your partner's fishing tournaments for a minute before or no?
Yeah, he used to fish with his dad, and that's to go back to my story. I was supposed to be teaching him how to fish swim baits, and he ended up teaching me how to traditional fish. And
does he swim bait fish still now?
Yeah, here and there. We still do. We actually talked about when I go back, we're going to go throw big baits only for a day or two, like because we've been focused on tournaments so much. Mm-hmm. Kind of haven't been fun fishing at all,
Yeah.
So yeah, he fishes swim baits now, and we still traditional fish, but I think we're like starting to transition into like that weird, like we want to find these off baits, right? Like these weird baits that no one's really throwing, maybe some JDM baits.
How the fuck do you do that? I thought the same thing. I think the same thing in saltwater. I'm like, I've seen guys use shit, and I'm like, fuck, they got bit on that, you know? But how do you do that? There's so many people that.
Well, in the, I can't say the same out here, but in the Arizona tournament scene, a lot of guys, like a lot of the big names are sponsored by like Berkeley and like things like that. So they're using traditional like crankbaits and stuff. And there's a couple other dudes who do well and they're throwing like JDM stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to find maybe like, I don't know, I picked up a Megabass M7, like a giant crank, right? Because a lot of dudes throw 10XDs, but a little something different, right? So the M7.5, that's a huge crankbait. It's like 3 ounces, right? I'm going to start throwing that. Or like a lot of people throw whopper ploppers, right? I'm going to throw like, I started throwing the Jackal Pompadour out there, you know, just something different. Yeah, man, just a little something different.
I saw that. I saw Caesar throwing it.
Yeah.
This was last year when I went up there and we were at the Delta. I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? He's like, it gets fucking bit.
Dude, it gets bit.
Fucking bam, 8-pounder. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I even have that, the Monka works, the one that SU did.
Dude, I want,
I throw that out
the crazy thing is I saw all this shit with Chris bring it 3 years ago. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Now I'm like, fuck, I want one of those, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I would have been on drops when I started doing this shit.
Or I just got the D3, the Swimming Underground. Yeah. I use that to crank down or top water.
I just bought a couple too as well. Well, and I bought them for the next month's Patreon.
But if you look at it's a little different. It has that diamond shape bill, right? Like it's different deflection of water, different action, you know, and then it has the 2 line ties. So
I had no fucking clue when I first got it, and I'm like, oh, I just want to get it below a little bit, and I just tied it one way, no fucking clip, and we went to Barrett, and you know Barrett's like,
yeah,
fucking, you catch anything you want, you know. So they weren't really. I did okay. Like I kind of outfished him on that, and it was slow. And he's like, "How are you fishing?" I'm like, "Well, I kind of was trying to get it down." Chris is like, "It's fucking another clip, dickhead." You know, like
there's 2 line ties.
You didn't have to do that. You know, I'm like, "Oh shit, my bad." You know, like I would have, you know. But that's a great bait too. Yeah, I mean, but you're getting to apply these into how did big baits happen? Like when you were applying them in the tournament, did it help? Was there times where you went, "Oh, this is gonna work"?
So my first tournament, we open up, we catch them on crankbaits, and like I'm doing videos on all these, so you guys can watch them if you want to, you know. And catching on cranks or whatever, and it's kind of a slow bite. And I'm like, you know what, dude? Give me 30 minutes at this. I know this swim bait spot. I'm gonna throw a glide. And my buddy's like, all right, 30 minutes, and if you don't catch it, we're out.
Was he stressed as fuck when you said that?
Yeah, okay, right. And like it's on the video. Like he's stressed and like he's tying. I was like, he's like, what am I gonna throw here? I said, throw a rig, right? And it's a bluff wall, and I'm like, and we pull up to the spot, and I think it's my second cast in, and he's like, well, I'll give you 30 minutes, so do what you got to do, and then other than that, we're leaving. Boom, catch that 4.8, right? And like, so that's our big fish, and then we roll down the bank, boom, he catches a 3. And then boom, I get hit again. And it's just like, dude, we weren't catching anything on drop shot, jigs, you know, whatever. And then he gets hit, and we're cruising up, and it's probably the biggest fish I've seen at that lake, which is like, it was anywhere from 8 to 10 pounds. Okay. During the tournament, we didn't catch it, but like in that incident, it helped us. In one of my last tournaments at Lake Pleasant, which I don't have experience in, is a clear, deep lake. I'm pre-fishing, and I can't get bit on anything, right? Maybe a drop shot here or there, dinks. But I was like, okay, let me throw a glide bait, see what happens. Start getting follows. Boom, catch like a 3. Okay, boom, catch a 2. Now I'm catching like 4 swim bait fish a day. Boom, it was like a 4 or 5, right? I'm like, okay, like here's the plan.
We're giving the fucking juice away right now, bro.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm not going back to Pleasant until next year, so whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna throw a big bait all day, and you throw traditional stuff. We didn't even weigh in. I caught a 1.5 all day. That was it.
So it sucked.
So yeah, it messed me. Like one tournament helped, the other one it didn't. So it's like it's a timing thing.
That's what I say. It's a timing thing, and it's a choice. You're taking a chance on fucking taking that little bit of precious time during the tournament to do that.
And the hard thing is like catching a swimbait fish is hard enough, right? And then getting on a consistent pattern with a swimbait is kind of difficult too. And then hoping that those conditions all align up on your tournament day, right?
I think the pattern thing is probably the one that fucks me the most.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I can get a bite, cool, but patterning that bite and going to different locations where you can apply that same type of thing you're doing. And I have fucking ADD, so it's like for me to like sit there and think. It's like shit.
But that's why now I'm trying to throw like those one-offs, right? Like depths cover scat. Like, who throws that, right?
Yeah.
I love that bait. I'll throw that. I'll throw, a glide bait, a deep crank, some weird top water, right? Some JDM top water. Just getting like for a bigger bite, right? So it's not necessarily going and throwing a giant glide bait all day.
So you're looking, when you're fishing tournaments, you're looking for a bigger bite with something different.
Yeah.
Usually.
We have 8 hours, man, to get.
So
like,
will you do that? Will you do that since you guys fish together as a partner all the time? Will you do that where you're kind of throwing something different and he's throwing the conventional shit because he knows?
Sometimes.
Saying? Yeah.
What's good about, like, I think our relationship between me and him is like, I'm that guy that's going to be like, hey, let's go throw glide baits on this damn rock wall in the middle of a tournament when we have like 3 fish. Right. And then he's the guy that's like, no, we need to get on this pattern. And we're like, we mesh together and we like figure out what's the best course of action. Cause if it was up to me, I was like, let's go huck big baits and swing for the fences. Right. It didn't work out at my one tournament. Right.
Yeah.
And the other one, we were catching crankbait fish first and then the glide. Like, so it's like, I'm still learning a lot of like fish behavior and like how to locate them and all that stuff. And like, he helps me with that. So we get like a good foundation and then I'll kind of like add in with this random ass, like, let's go throw pompadours or, some
then
random,
it'll get bit.
Yeah. Like some random stuff. Yeah.
No, it's cool to see the transition too. Like where not many guys, Grady kind of talked about like switching over to actually just throwing conventional shit more. Not a lot of guys are doing that, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Where they're getting rid of the big bait right now. It's usually
and I think the big bait's a timing thing too. Like it still works, right? I spent one of my videos all winter. I fished one lake and we were catching big fish. The majority of those fish came on jigs deep, right? My biggest fish was a swimbait, a HUD 68. It was an 810. Like at that same lake on a jig spot. Like they still work, but the majority was on jigs. So it's hard, like it's hard balance, right? And I just want to catch big fish. So I don't care if it's on a jig or a swim bait, like, or a traditional, I don't care.
Let's talk about your YouTube channel too. That's kind of interesting. I got to piss real quick. Hold on.
All right.
A little break for the night, but let's talk about your YouTube channel. So you're documenting everything you do when you're doing the tournament stuff as well, right?
Yeah. So I'm doing the it's for the tournament series. Like I talked to the tournament director, his name is Lyle, super cool guy, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he was like, yeah, please, man, like for sure, like they want to get it out there more and everything like that. So like I started my YouTube channel probably a year or so ago. It's Ko9King Media. I'm still growing. I think I only have like 600 subscribers or whatever, but I do a lot of media stuff for some companies on Instagram. But I do videos on my own for the channel. Like I do a video for every tournament for this season, right? And I've got I think we have 5 or 6 episodes up so far for that.
Yeah.
And then I do some like product videos, and that's kind of like my specialty is like just little hype videos or social media product videos.
What made you want to get into it?
So I've always been into, like, I remember watching, like, again, I'll go back to my Instagram days of people catching big fish. I'm like, oh man. And I bought a GoPro and did all that. And I've always been doing like cast to catch videos and, the whole, I'm kind of late to the YouTube thing or whatever, but I like watching the video, like watching and reliving that catch over and over, or sharing it like with other people. Cause you can say like, oh man, I caught 2 6s the other day, and be like, yeah, whatever, bro. Well, I got it on camera. Like, you want to watch it, you know? And then like throwing in some B-roll and making it look cool. Right. So like my latest Instagram reel was, it was for Sunline, right? Cause I'm with Sunline now. Yeah. And it was like a flipping video, and it was me and my buddy catching those 2 6s, right? And just the way it's
you did another
together.
One with the electric sunglasses, right? Like for
so I've done a couple for I've done one for SU, the Swim Underground, and the silverware, the knives. That promo video
did you do the one with the drone?
Yeah, that was me.
Dude, that was a sick ass video.
Yeah.
I think I told you that last time too. It came out really. That's what it made me notice who you were, because I asked Ben.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the fuck did that video? That's fucking sick. He's like, oh, fucking, you gotta check him out, Robert.
Yeah. So I did that one. I did the bait slick one with Manny, where he's like talking about it, and then the other one is like just like a lifestyle video. I did that one for SU and the bait slick. I've done some for like my barber and like other non-fishing related
But this
things.
is like, you just love making like,
Yeah,
you
it's
like
fun,
it.
man. You know, I just did one for Sunline, you know, the flipping one and the electric and SU sunglass one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you do your YouTube's like your main
Yeah,
passion.
I just do that. I mean, it's just fun. Like, I'm out there anyway, I'm recording, like, might as well throw it together, you know? I have my GoPro running all the time, and then I just record on this little handheld and throw it together. It's pretty easy, you know?
Yeah, I fucking hate talking into the camera. That's like my worst thing. Yeah. I've learned more and more. Like, even my mom's like, I can't believe how well you talked on TV. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you hate being on TV. I'm like, people think that, like, this is the weird thing. I'm no different off the podcast. This is just me. I'm not doing any like interviewing. I'm just talking like we would talk. Like, if I came up to you and I'm like, hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit of fishing. Like, this is how I am.
So my YouTube channel is a little different. It's not like a traditional, like, well, this is what you guys need to be throwing, and this is what the best thing is. Like, because I'm learning too, right? Excuse me. My whole thing is like, this is what I'm doing today. This is what's been going on.
So kind of like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like the exact same thing.
I'm fishing this tournament.
Yeah.
These are the conditions. My practice sucked. My practice was good. And then I'll interview other people there. So, like, there's a little stick. His name's Deegan out in Arizona. He's like 12 years old. He fishes with his dad. This kid fishes like 2 tournaments a weekend. He'll fish an adult one. And if they have a kid one, he'll fish the kid one. And then his dad will take him to like
and he's good,
4.
huh?
Hey, he's good, dude. He's good. And I try to, like, I'll find him out there. And I'll be like, hey, man, how'd your practice go? And I'll throw him on camera, you know. And
that's
like,
cool.
Yeah, I'll do like my Instagram reels. I'll throw him in there, you know. But like, or I'll like if some pros fish in the tournament, I'll go, hey, how'd you do? You know, or like, here's another dude, and like, you know, just get an overall picture of the tournament rather than me out there like, hey guys, this is me and this is what I'm doing, you know, like.
So how did you separate that? Like, when you were younger, did you have like where you wanted to be on camera? Like, you know what I'm saying? Did you like did you like act? Did you do anything?
No, man. It just.
What did you do when you were younger? What was your hobby? Like,
I played sports.
Sports.
Yeah, I didn't.
Were you good at it?
I was all right.
What did you play?
Baseball, basketball.
So you're kind of used to being in the spotlight a little bit?
Kind of, not really, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, what made you want to be in the spotlight? Like, to me, it was like, I just listened to podcasts. I know how to record shit. Why not make a podcast? That was me. Like, what made you go, I like shooting video? Do you like talking to the camera? You know what I'm saying?
I think it was just like, I was catching big fish, right? And like, a picture can only tell so much. And then like, there's so many people that, like, I hate to say it, but it happens, like, you catch on one bait and you hang a bait just to be cool, right? Like, you hang the swim bait on there. Well, if I have it on video, there is.
What's the exception on hanging a bait? Is there any exceptions? What if I caught it on a glide and then put another glide in there?
I mean, this is a weird fine line, right?
This is a hard one for me because in my head I go, if I caught it, say I caught a 10 on a glide, or just say whatever glide it is. If I have a friend, I know that glide works good.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, in my head, I'd be like, it's a product placement. You're trying to help your friend. You know, to me, I wouldn't give a fuck. Yeah. That's me. Now, I'm truthful. I know there are people that might be lying and doing it. So to me, I'm like, I'm truthful. So I'm never going to like tell you like I'm doing better than I am. Like if someone goes, how many listens do you get a month? I would probably tell them, you know, okay, I get about, it's not something like I'm going to lie about. So to me, it's like, if someone did hang another bait, I'd be like, I get it if you're doing a product placement because you're sponsored, you're making a living, you're not snagging baits off a fucking bed.
See, I can't do that, man. Like whatever I catch on,
you're gonna put it up. And I'm just giving devil's advocate. To me, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, to me, like if I catch it on a glide and it's this glide, it's that glide. Like, you know, I could easily, you know, go throw a Swimbait Underground D3 on it and be like, oh yeah, I caught all this and this and this. And like, they don't, like, those guys don't like that either, right? Like, I caught a big fish and right before that bait slick came out and they had told me like, hey, you need to do a video. I'm like, oh, you want me to throw that in there? That big fish on the HUD? And they're like, well, were you throwing the HUD when you caught that fish? Or were you using bait slick? I said, no. They're like, no, then don't put it in there. I was like,
see, right, and then there's like, to me, but that's, I guess I trust everyone. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's my problem is if I talk to you and I like you, I believe you.
See, this is what I do.
So, and you're what, I guess when you've been around the game and I haven't, you can't trust everyone because there's probably dick faces.
I mean, there's people hiding bites and, you know, they don't want people to know and this and that. Cool. And like, whatever you want to do, you guys can do. That's your own personal choice.
Yeah.
For me, for example, I was on a glide bait bite in one of my tournaments. I just posted a picture of the fish, not the bait, right? Because I was hiding that bite.
Of course.
After the tournament, yeah, I posted the video. This is what it was on. Like, you know, I don't care now because the tournament's over. I'm not going back to that lake for a while, right?
Yeah.
And even if I do, like, conditions may change. Who knows? And, like, a glide bait isn't, like, a secret, right? And
so then, now, I'm playing devil's advocate again because this is what you do. What about blowing up a spot? Like, you say you caught that glide on that lake, or threw that glide on that lake right at that wall, and these dudes come fish that all the time from the shore, and now there's fucking another 20 dudes because you put up the video. Do you kind of get what I'm saying on that side?
I mean, how do you feel about that? I get what you're saying. Like, there's no secret spots on these lakes, man. I come from Paris where, like, everybody's fishing the same spots with the same baits over and over again, right?
People throw a big deal if you ever... You know,
dude, I've gotten people messaging me like, "Hey, take those pictures, take some videos down."
That's what I'm trying to say. Is like,
but like, hey, it's public water. I can post whatever I want to post. Nobody's telling me about these spots. I'm finding them myself. And I want to post content. Like, that's what I want to do, right? Like, I don't feel there's any harm in it. Like,
no, neither do I. And I'm not. I mean,
yeah.
I guess it could. There could the same thing could go both ways.
Yeah.
Because like, what if there's a couple dudes that had a bite? They're trying to get a big one, and I've seen it happen one time to me.
Yeah.
At a local, the park lakes are fucking packed. Yeah. And Fishing Network. Remember Fishing Network? Mm-hmm. I caught, I think this was like 2012. I kept catching them on the spinnerbait.
Yeah.
And the toolies. And I put up a couple. And I'm like, oh, I'm fucking killing it. It was like a couple twos and threes. Yeah. Great at the park lake. I came the next day after I put it up. There's fucking 10 dudes walking around spinnerbaits. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
You know, and what if that happens to those guys? Like, I get that it's a hard line.
Well, a lot of the lakes, like, we fish, especially for tournaments, because I'm mainly tournament fishing now, like, they're huge. Like, Roosevelt is 22 miles long.
So you're not going to be, that's a different story.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, at Saguaro, like, a lot of people hit it, but there is no hidden spot, right? Like, the fish are there or they're not, or they move or whatever. They've seen HUDs, they've seen glides, they've seen all this stuff. Yeah. Like, you still got to find them. You still got to catch them. I know spots that I'll go back and caught swimbait fish there, and I can't duplicate it myself, and I'm the one who, you know, like, it's.
So the video thing I think is cool. I mean, it's just a question I usually have for people that do YouTube.
Yeah.
So I can be like, what do you think?
And I get it from both angles, but like, hey man, like, I got to clock into work on Monday like everyone else. Like, who cares if someone else is catching fish on my spot? Even if I win every single tournament of this tournament series, I still got to go to work on Monday, right? Like, it's not life-changing money.
Yeah.
Now, if I was like in the MLF or the Classic, like, I get it, man. Like, it's either win or you don't make money to eat, right? I still had to work full time.
Yeah.
So this is just for fun, right? I have a passion for it. Like, I like doing these product videos for companies. Like, it's cool, man. It's fun, and it's something I really enjoy, you know? And that's like my ultimate goal is, like, I want to work with some companies that, like, stuff that I really enjoy, right? Yeah. Like, I'm working with Sunline now. That I like their line, you know, or like some of these other bait companies. And if they want me to shoot a product video with a pro or me or whatever, like, I enjoy creating it. And then when it gets posted on a page that's bigger than mine, like, for example, like SU, I'd be like, man, dope video. Like, it makes me feel good. It's like,
it helps, you know, your following as well. For sure. Who taught you how to shoot the video? How did you learn that? And like, was that YouTube? Was it just?
I went and bought a camera and just started practicing.
Just started doing
YouTube.
It.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Story of my life, man. Just kind of figure it out as you go, and like, I reach out to a couple people and they'll shoot me a couple.
Did you have any fishing guys you kind of looked at and were like, oh, I like this guy's style, maybe?
So like a lot of the stuff, like the cast to catch stuff, if you look at it, a lot of it's just GoPro footage, right? Okay. Like, there's some B-roll and like other things, and then like I remember, like, you know, Brandon Polinick's YouTube channel came out.
Yeah.
And those are like movies, dude, right? And like the guy who records those, his name's Kyle, like Vander something.
Yeah.
He responded to me on Instagram and was like, yeah, your YouTube video, the first one, kind of sucked. Here's some pointers, right? And like, cool. I'm trying to, everyone's getting better. It's still not flawless, right? And like, then I remember watching the Chris Zaldane's, right? And like his one he had on
Johnny Trying to Go Places.
That guy makes magic, right? Like, his videos are like movies. Like,
dude, I got to see, I don't think it's came out yet, their project they're working on.
Yeah.
When I went up there, this was almost last year. Like, remember I did and he's like, check this out. And they show me. and the way it's fucking shot.
Dude, it's like a movie, right?
Well, he's telling me, Johnny's like, oh, I had to go buy a memory card for this new camera. It's like
Yeah.
$10,000. Like, how much is a memory card? It's like $1,000. I'm like, fuck, because it shoots like in
they got
something
those
crazy.
high-end stuff.
But dude, and that's another guy. Like, I'd love to hear him again, just because he had so much to talk about. He just picked shit up too, and he just got good at it.
That guy. So both of those dudes I just mentioned, they're self-taught.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
Yeah, it's like every time Paul and Nick's videos come out or Zaldane's videos, like, yes, I'm watching the fishing stuff, but I'm looking how it's put together, and like I want to make videos like that, man. They're epic, right? And like they really capture that moment, and they get people excited to fish, and they get excited for you, right? Like, you know, like it's one thing if I'll put up a video of a cast to catch on a big fish, like people get stoked. But when you throw it in like and kind of tell a story, like people are like, man, that's a badass video, right?
Yeah, you want to get people stoked on like getting a fish or like just pumped up. Like
I'm gonna be out there anyway and fish. Why not record it and like document it, right? And it's gonna be memories made, right? You know, and like that's kind of how I look at it. And it's just something I do for fun, right? Like I do a lot of fishing by myself. I'll do a lot of fishing with my buddies, and like I'll just record all of it and throw it together. If people want to watch it, cool. Like if not, it's a memory for us. You know.
So at the end of the day, it's more of like, if you could maybe kind of do what I'm doing. Like I kind of have a full-time job, but this is kind of like a part-time job now.
Yeah.
You'd like to be able to like, you know, work with people, meet more people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make connections, kind of. It'd be cool if you did a story set. Like I think that's a great idea for the series. Like its own interviews. Like that shit's cool. People need that. They want to see, and you'll attract people by going like, man, like I want to go to. I'd love to enter or join like a bass club down here.
Yeah.
This is as a non-boater, just to learn.
Yeah.
It's fun, I've heard it so much, and I'm trying to go to this meeting, and it's a lot. Dude, I'm so fucking busy. You know, it's like plus I'm over here trying to calico fucking tournament fish. It's like no, but you know what I'm saying. That's the shit that you're doing is positive. And at the end of the day, like if you could make more out of it by like doing something like working with companies is cool. Yeah. But I love how it's like you got a job. And then the day it doesn't fucking matter because you have a full-time job.
Yeah. Doing that. I just want to create cool stuff, right? Like one of my goals is like I want to work with companies and get sponsored by companies that I like, right? Like I don't want to just do it because I'm getting paid or like they need me to do it. Like I want to work with some companies that like I use their stuff now. Like I pay full price for it. So if I can get a discount or, you know, free or whatever, but create value in what I do for them, it's like a win-win situation, right? Yeah. And then like be part of projects where like, okay, hey man, we're coming out with this new bait. I need you to go take, you know, this guy or you do it and like make a video for us. And then it gets promoted and it's like, man, I helped work on that project. Yeah. But I'm also getting like some free product or paid for it, right? Like it's never going to replace what I do for a living. Like, you know, I make good money now and I enjoy what I do. And it would just be an extra little thing, like something I'm passionate about, right? It's
like even people said, well, if the podcast, like it's not even like close to being my job or like paying me like that, but would you ever quit your job? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like why? I'm like, because I have kids and insurance, and it's like even if I got more than I worked at my job doing this, I would never quit my job.
Yeah.
Like say they said you're making more money now off of advertisements or whatever, I'd be like, no, I'm not. I can't. It's just this is gonna come second no matter what. If I had to fucking quit it because I couldn't, you know, make the money, I would do that right now. Like it's just, you know,
I'm in healthcare, right? And I chose that profession because I wanted to do something that was going to serve people, right? Like, and you know, healthcare makes decent money, but I am helping people every single day. So even if I got a job in the fishing industry, which I love and passion, like I'm not really helping people in the way that I am with nursing, right? Yeah, and like I'm in school to be a nurse practitioner, right? And I'm going to have my own patients, my own caseload, which I'm going to be responsible for their medication, their overall health. Yes, fishing is passionate. I'm going to help people fish, but like you can't duplicate that. So I would still work my job in healthcare.
But it seems like you like that structure. Like you like your rods lined up a certain way. Yeah. You love working out. That's another thing that takes a lot of structure. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the people have that. I have it, but then it just goes away after like a couple days.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That's why I'm like, oh, I'll get into working out.
But I mean, I would love to, you know, get paid for this, but like, it's never going to take away me wanting to help people.
Yeah. Even if you did get paid like outrageous, you probably wouldn't quit your shit.
I still want to help people, man.
Yeah, you know? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like
there's something satisfying. about
Rodney
that.
Marquez.
No.
Look up Rodney Marquez. He has a big YouTube. It's like 30 or 40,000 subscribers. He's
Yeah.
down in San Diego. He did work for Bloody Decks, but he quit his job for a while doing it, and then he went back, and he's a therapist, like a
Respiratory therapist?
no for what's the
Physical
one that
therapy?
physical therapy, but he's
yeah.
Marines or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And he loves it. It's like what he loves doing, and it's cool like to hear like
There's just a certain
you know?
there's a certain satisfaction you get out of like healthcare when you like help change people's lives. It's like, dude, it's so fulfilling. It's so stressful, and like I have my bad days, just like fishing, right? And just like work, but like the fishing helps relieve that, but like there's something satisfying about that I don't think I can give up.
Yeah. Let's plug your sponsors, your channel. Let's plug your channel first. Like break the whole thing where they can get it.
Okay.
Everything. And your Instagram.
So Instagram is Ko9King.media. That's like TikTok, YouTube, Ko9King
Do you do
Media.
TikTok too?
I just post the Instagram videos on the TikTok just to have
How
more
do you
social.
do that?
You just save it to your phone and then.
Oh,
go
you
on
just save it? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I should do it too, but it's so fucking annoying. It probably helps. So like people are getting.
Dude, TikTok's blowing up, man. And
Yeah.
that's a good way to get people to see your stuff.
Yeah.
I have a website too, but best way to reach me is just through Ko9King Media. Just DM me. I'm always on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the YouTube, same thing.
Same thing, Ko9King Media. My sponsors, shout out SU, Swimbait Underground, Load on Custom, Sunline.
Fucking assholes. No.
Savage Gear.
Cool,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. This is good. I'm want to maybe we could do another one where I come, and we do it on the water. I try to do that. I have labs and like
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It'd be cool, but I'm glad we got you back on to do a full episode. This was a fun one. I'm glad you came down too.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out the studio and check out his YouTube channel. You'll probably see something cool.
We're gonna do
involving, my stuff.
a tour of
Yeah.
the studio.
You'd see my boat, some of my rods, and then the studio. You see the boom boom room. Nick's boom boom room in here. All right. Thanks again, Robert.
All right, man.